Hey y'all. How's everybody? How's everybody? Welcome to Mission for Mental Health podcast. I'm your host, Jackie Robinson. I'm so excited to be here. I'm really enjoying doing this with you guys every Wednesday. This week, our guest was Ewanna Richardson. And unfortunately, Ewanna had a family emergency. So she was not able to be on the show today. However, I did find someone to replace her. Um, what I would like for you all to do is send out many, many prayers to Ewanna and her family while they're going through what they're going through at this time. And I will definitely have her on a later date. But in the meantime, I have another guest. And so it worked out. See how God works? God will make this thing work out when you don't think it's going to work out. God will work this thing out for you. So at the last hour, I got me another guest. So I'm excited. I think you guys are going to enjoy him as well. Um, as before I get started, I always read my disclaimer. And so I got to put my little handy dandy glasses on. I couldn't find my other ones, y'all, so I had to throw these on today. Oh, look at there. I could see. Jeez, isn't that something? Okay, so during this podcast, we spent a great deal of time discussing mental health and mental health illness and the effects it can have on you and your loved ones. The conversations shared here are the opinions of myself, the opinions of me, and the opinions of my guests. I am not a licensed mental health professional, and I do not provide mental health treatment or advice. My intent is not to cause any harm or trauma. However, I'm aware that some conversations may trigger some unwanted feelings. Therefore, resources for mental health services are provided to each guest, and I also have mental health services provided for you all if you do need them. Okay. All right. So, with no further ado, let me bring on our guest. His name is Stephen Skip Williams. Um, I've actually been knowing him a long time. He has an amazing story to share as well. So, let me bring him on. I think you guys are going to enjoy him. I'm not going to give his bio or anything. I'm going to let him do his own thing. So let me add him on. Bam, there he is. Steve.
Hey Jackie.
You there, Steve?
Yeah, what's going on? How you
All
doing
right.
this?
I'm good. So I said that I was not going to give your bio. I was going to let you do it. But I was going to tell them just a little bit on how we know each other.
Okay. Oh,
Um, because we know each other.
you do?
So when I first moved to the I was a receptionist in a hair salon called Success Hair Studio on Campbellton Road. And
Mm,
that salon, baby, that salon was popping the most. Like all the stylists up in there was popping. All the barbers up in there was popping. The music was always popping. The vibe in there was popping. I mean, it was Campbellton Road in between Stanton and Delow, y'all. It was off the chain up in there. So we always had some live wires roll through the salon.
oh yeah.
And one of the stylists, Eric Haney, um, Steve knows Eric, and so he used to come in and holler at Eric all the time, along with many, many folks, celebrities, all kind of folks used to come through Success, right, Steve?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I was little young whippersnapper back then, and Steve used to roll up in the salon. Yeah, look, he was a young whippersnapper too.
Oh, we've been young. We ain't always been.
Yeah, he used to roll up in the salon. So I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
I'm not gonna take your whole intro away, but go ahead and tell the folks a little bit about yourself. Where did you are you I know you're from Atlanta, right?
Yes.
Atlanta got its
Born.
own Atlanta got its own language. I learned that
Uh,
real quick when I moved here from Cali. Atlanta got its own style, got its own language. So people always say when I talk to people and they say they're from Atlanta, they say you got to be specific when they say they're from Atlanta and ask them what high school did they go to, because that's going to determine if they really from Atlanta or not.
okay. Okay. Well, Jackie, it's so good to be on tonight. I pray that this is a blessing to those that will be able to that tune into your podcast. I'm sure that many lives will be affected. I am a graded baby, born down in Atlanta, downtown on Jesse Hill, uh, and my mom gave birth to me in 1967 on October 31st. Since that time, I went to about, and this is not a joke. You can confirm it from family, even Eric. I went to about 17 different schools.
What?
From elementary to high school. My last two schools though were Fulton High School with the Redbirds.
Okay.
I was a member of the drum section over there. I had to start out with the cymbals.
Okay.
But eventually worked my way to the snares.
Okay.
And then I left from there and went to East Point. I went to a school that's now called Tri-Cities, but it was William A. Russell. It was Russell High School back in the day, back in the Point. So what's happening to the folks in the Point? Folks in the Point ain't changed. I'm just so elated to be here tonight, and just as a backstory, just for me, my family is known in the city. I've of course known Eric for over almost 40 years. Mm-hmm. Been a good friend with him. We've been through some real good times. We've been through some low times. Yeah. But that's my brother. That's my boy. I love you, Eric. If you're watching, I love you, boy.
Yeah, I love Eric too.
So just wanted to kind of give a shout out to him and say, again, I'm like you. My prayer is that this reaches people, that it doesn't injure, but that it brings peace and it adds, it gives empowerment, that it gives, it gives a person the ability to stand firm in who God created them to be with all their flaws. So you talking about a flawed guy? This is sitting in front of you.
Yeah. What's one of your favorite childhood memories growing up out here in Atlanta?
My favorite childhood memory, and this is going to be kind of funny, but the folks from the A really gonna understand this.
Right.
Was my mom had an apartment over on Simpson Road above in Hilltop Apartments. It's a little section of apartment. It's probably might be like 8 to 9 units. I can't really remember because it was a long time ago. But the apartment sat on this hill above Charles Disco. So it was a wall that we could sit on as kids and watch all the players and all the big cars and all of the, the superstars and A-Town players come and pull up in Charles, and that's when you was doing, that's my car, that's my girl, that's back we was doing that little stuff, so it was really cool. That was one of the things I used to like to do because you had to get out and see it before the street light came on, because back then if them street lights beat your butt in the house, right, you were gonna get your butt beat when you got in the house. Right. So, we that was one of the things I really enjoyed. The other thing I could say as a real point as a child was I went to my first Falcons football game with my grandfather, and
what
that was when it was back at Fulton County Stadium.
Fulton County Stadium, that's right. Okay.
Fulton County Stadium, good. It was something that I remember that I really cherish to this day.
Right. Yeah, I don't recall I don't think Fulton County Stadium still existed when I moved here in '96. I think it was gone.
I think you had the actual Georgia Dome then.
I had the Georgia Dome. Yeah. So how would your mom describe you if she was able to? How would she describe you as a child? What kind of kid would she say you were?
Busy. As a young man, I tell people this, and a lot of people don't believe it, but from the age of 3, Jackie, I was reading with comprehension. I had a disorder when I was born that my feet were turned inward. Mm-hmm. So they had to literally break my ankles and put braces on my feet. Mm-hmm. So as a little bitty kid, from 1 till about 3 or 4, every night I had to sleep with that brace on. And primarily I would be with my grandparents or at my mom's house. But my grandfather used to give me them C-Spot, Run, C. Jane books, the Curious George. He would just get those books and would come in there because he would hear me upset and crying because, with the brace, I couldn't turn over.
Right.
And wanting to turn over, it made me angry. So my first case of anger came as a result of a brace between my feet. When my grandfather gave me those books, I didn't quite understand them then, but he started reading and teaching me phonetically how to pronounce words, how to break it down. So at the age of 3, this is not a lie. I won't lie on this man.
Right.
I was reading with full comprehension and understanding.
Wow.
So it really took me to another place mentally at that time, because I was able to escape that level of trauma by reading books.
Right. Wow. So where did the busy part come in?
The busy part came in was when they would take the braces off. You had to grab me to sit me down because I had to go see what was going on over here, over there, over there, over here. I was inquisitive. I like to look into things. I like to ask questions. I was always wanting to know why it is, or what we doing that for, or where we going. But I was very reserved as a child. My grandmother told me that I didn't do a lot of talking, but I always asked pertinent questions.
Right.
It's weird. The dynamic kind of still goes in my life now. I'm of the belief and faith that if you ain't got nothing to say, be quiet. But if you got something to say, say it.
Right. Right. So you graduated from high school, and was that in East Point or?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they actually gave me my diploma and told me to leave. I wasn't able to go to the graduation ceremony. I was banned from both proms, junior and senior. My senior year, in the 10th grade, it's an interesting story. You was asking me if it was okay to talk about him, but in the 10th grade at Russell High, I met this guy. I was walking down the hallway and I had got into it with this big white boy. And the white boy was 3 times my size, so he punched me in the face. Hit me in the eye, actually. So he blacked my eye. So I went to his office, and I was a troublemaker. So they called us to the office, and then we was leaving out, and they used to say that if you had a black eye, you put a piece of meat on your eye, right? You ever heard that? Yes. Well, I'm walking down the hallway with my girlfriend on one hand. I got the meat on my eye with the other one, and I'm walking. And this dude said, hey, man. And I said, what's up? He say, why you got that meat on your eye? I snapped. Man, who you talking to? You don't know me. I don't know you. You don't say that. I don't treat. He said, you're going to have a piece of meat on that other eye. You keep running your mouth like that. And his name was Tyler Craig.
Tyler Craig. Go ahead. And y'all been friends up until
we were inseparable from that day. I was 15 years old. This guy saw a wild child, and literally at his age, he was the voice of reason for me. Wow. He began to speak into my life at that really young age, and he also helped kind of corral the energy he saw into doing stuff that was positive, like dancing. He drug me into the wrestling team. He made me do stuff like, you're going to do this, man, because you got too much going on, and you're going to get hurt. So I'm gonna rescue you if you don't want me to. And he was he was a brother and a friend. And when I tell you, to this day, I have several good friends. Eric, one of them. I could roll off a few other names, but this guy was the instrument of my full development from that point on.
So I'm sure some of our listeners don't know much about Tyler. You want to share a little bit about him? You want to take a few minutes?
Well, Tyler Craig was this cat that grew up in Atlanta too, West Side, over there at Central Villa. So, he was on the West Side where you were talking about, up the street, off Camden Road. And he was just this real popular, real cool, very athletic guy. But he was also really funny. Tyler could tell jokes. And Joan, you up one side, down the other, to the point where folks used to want to fight him. Right. he with the best of them, he could go at any rate, anytime, and he used to do that to entertain his boys back when we were kids. So we already knew what Tyler was going to be, even though we didn't know to the extent. And he became this great, successful comedian after spending years as he was a beautician barber. He worked in as a cosmetologist as well. He did that for several years, and then he made the transition over into comedy. And it was a natural transition because his mom was always Carolyn Hall, rest in peace, as well. She was one that was instrumental in putting him in platforms of the modeling agency. They were dealing with Bronner Brothers back in the day. She had D. Marchand modeling agency, and she would, Tyler them got his confidence from being around all that stuff at an early age. Right. So it transferred over to his boys. Like, we were the misfits. He grabbed the misfits up, and he was like, "I'm gonna get with these guys, right? Because these are the guys that I need to help." And he became a worldwide successful comedian. Yes. His moniker was the moral, and the moral of the story is when he said that he was giving you the reason for the joke, and he was giving you something to live by after you heard and laughed. Yes. And believe it or not, most folks don't know this, but the folks that know me and Tyler do know. Most of those jokes, when he said my partner, and he was talking about the crazy dude,
he talking about you. Well, speaking of that, what did you end up doing after high school?
After high school, again, my grandfather was a very, very important person in my development too. Eddie Brown, rest in heaven. He was adamant about me going to school, because I want to say this for the audience about people with mental health issues. Most of us, and we talked about this earlier, we have very high IQ levels. Very high IQ level. And when you have a high IQ level, you are somewhat a little bit more dangerous, because you thinking about things that the guys who are probably doing the wrong thing thinking about, but times 5. So my grandfather told me, look, boy, you're going to either go to school or you're going to work, but you're going to do one or the other. He said, you're not going to lay around. You're not going to be late. He said, you're going to do something. So he told me that I'll pay for your college. I'll buy your books. I'll give you an allowance, and I'll let you stay here from time to time, back and forth between my apartment and my grandfather's house, to be able to save your money. I was able to buy a couple of cars, and I went to Atlanta. It was called Atlanta Area Tech then. Right. Now it's called Atlanta Technical College. And I went in there under the computer programming and computer operations to get that certification and degree. Well, unfortunately, I ran into a friend, as a matter of fact, who just called, and I just hung up on him. I ran into a friend.
They should be on the channel. They should be watching you live.
Well, I tried to send it to him, but he calling me to try to find what you talking about.
How do you get on here?
Anyway, so I ran into a friend of mine. His name was Dap, who also my friend Tyler introduced me to at 16. So Dap had got kicked out of the military. I don't care if you say I'm gonna tell it. So he came home, but his idea of getting money now was hustling. So I'm in college. I'm riding with Tyler's brother, Tree. We call him Tree. Cool cat. What's up, P? We were riding and we ran to Dap, and he was like, Skip, I got these bags and I paid this for it and I sell it for this. And I said, what? So I can take this amount of money and make that? The most horrible choice I could have made. Yeah. I started a life of hustling, and my professors, they wanted to assault me. They brought me in a meeting, and because I started coming to class late. I started sleeping in class, not showing up, and they said that, look, you got one of the most powerful potentials here, and you're throwing it away. And I was like, I ain't got to listen to y'all. Y'all don't know what y'all talking about. I'm going to get this money. Wrong. Right. Bad choice, because the person that was making the choice was being influenced by mental health issues.
Right. So tell me, when did mental health enter your life?
I started realizing that I had some mental health issues early on. At about the age of 12, I was my grandparents and my mom took us to church all the time. And my grandparents, if I was with them, we was in church on Sunday, but they would inject me into the church programs, the youth program for Easter where you get up and did your speech. Well, honey, I didn't get up and do no little God said he loved you. God said, no, I got up and gave a dissertation in front of the people of God at 10 and 11 and 12. Literally wrote my own sermons along with another sister that was there. Lord help me, Sister Roberta that was at Bethlehem Baptist Church took me under her wing and used to help me write those speeches and I would get up in front of those people and they would start to applaud and say, "Let's look at that," because I was such a little guy. Mm-hmm. It amazed them that the power that came out of my voice. I wasn't afraid. I was sure of why I was supposed to be doing it. And then at that age of 12, I really wanted to devote my life to God. And I went to this holiness church, I'm not going to say the name, but they took you to the tarrying rooms. If anybody ever go about the holiness, they take you to what they call a tarrying room when you get up and say, I want to get to receive Jesus. So they took me downstairs and they put me in a corner and the lady said, just keep saying Jesus. So I sat in the corner and said Jesus for about 30 minutes. And I looked over and one dude was foaming at the mouth and this other lady was on the floor shaking. And these other folks, they was all concerned with them, but not me. And I was serious. So I got up and I walked out that door and I looked at it and I said, I guess Jesus don't want me then. Mm-hmm. And that was when the voice spoke and said, but I do. And it was the voice that started to guide and talk to me at a very early age, which I didn't recognize to be the mental health, the demonic influence, the things that had happened to me prior to that had hardened me. Mm-hmm. I was trying to get away from. And I'm transparent. I believe transparency is the new parent. So as a young man, people would explore sex and they use younger people, and I was one of those unfortunate young men that had to deal with being molested. So those things kind of started to shape my mind about the world. And as they say, hurt people. Mm-hmm. So figured out then that if I want respect, I need to be a monster. Not a good guy. Not this guy that wants to serve the Lord. So when I started giving into that voice, he used to talk constantly. Come on, let's go do this. Come on, let's go do that. Mm-hmm. And I saw the response. It was the response.
What were some of the things that you were doing?
Whatever I could and get away with before my mama came home from work. We lived on the west side, so I grew up Simpson Road, Mason Turner, Dixie Hills, Chapel Road, Bankhead, in that little area right there. And whatever you wanted to do was right there available. Whatever you wanted to try was available. I started drinking at about the age of 9. Drinking with the cats over there. Then they would start showing you. They'll put a little pistol in your hand and say, shoot at that bottle, boy. There was a guy, and I won't name him because he's gone, but he was a negative influence in terms of being a pimp. And he pulled up, and he was the first person to really kind of say, come here, man, come on. Who are you? Mm-hmm. And then he started to take me around with him and show me certain things that I was afraid of, but excited about. Because if my mama saw me out, if my mama had eyes everywhere. So if anybody even saw me with this cat, I was going to get the beat down of the century. But it was exciting because I knew it was wrong. And that voice said, look at how they treat you when you do wrong. They don't mess with you. I had a beautiful set of sisters, an awesome little brother who was very smart and gifted as well, very young. Mm-hmm. He would take part. So I had the responsibility at 8 and 9 years of age of having to navigate with them across town in Atlanta on the bus, taking them back and forth as a little kid myself. Right. And I was afraid because I had to care for these 2 kids. My little sister was so pretty and my little brother would start fights with everybody. So that dynamic would transition to me becoming a protector, me becoming the, a guy that I had to literally be ready to fight at all times. And because I was smart, I was picked on. And I took it for a while until I just said, nah, I learned that if I hit back after they hit me, they don't keep hitting me. So then it felt good to hit back. So then I would start hitting first. So it felt good to get that type of power. And my voice was saying, yeah, let's show them. Come on, we're going to get them, Steve. You ain't got to be scared. And he used to tell me that. And then, but he tormented me too. Because he told me how inadequate I was if I didn't do this. And if you didn't do that, if you ain't like this, you a sissy. Now, Lord, forgive me. I don't mean to be any disrespect. But that was the way we would feel about ourselves. Like, and I don't mean to disrespect anyone in the community. I'm saying that as a young man, the one thing that we didn't want to be labeled as was weak. Right. And when you consider weak on the west side, you're a victim. Right. You understand? Right. So I wanted no more of the victimization. So I started fighting back and got pretty good at it. And then I had a little brother and a little sister that would fight with me. Oh yeah. When we went out to fight, they would jump in the fight too.
Well, them little Williams kids.
Oh my. And but we were all so little. Jackie, we were so little. We were knee-high to grapefruits. I mean, I'm 5'7" now, so you can imagine at 6. Right. I was a little bitty guy, and my little sister and little brother at 8. I'm 9. They're little. We're little, but we had so much because our mother was so strong that she would put in us. Even to this day, I wanted to say this. That even by the way I speak, my speech, my mom would require you to use the proper articulation of words and pronunciation in her house. Because if you didn't, you got in the mouth. Now, you might be what's happening outside or what it is, homeboy, when you got the block. But in that house, you said, yes, hello, how are you? Yes, ma'am, we're real. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. That was the way we first learned to navigate the world. And so she gave us so many different tools. Rest her soul.
So let me ask you this. How did that voice that you were hearing as a kid, how did it transpire and move in your life as you became an adult? Did it cause you to have jobs, or did it cause, what type of effects did this voice have on your life as you became an adult, a grown man? So now you don't have mama to protect you anymore. Granddaddy can't protect you anymore. You're an adult doing your thing.
Let me just say this, that anything that you are, it progressively gets larger and it becomes more enormous over time. So the little monster became a grown-up monster. The grown-up monster was, I exacted the world. I told myself from the time I was about 14 that I was only going to live to be 25. So I said I was going to do all the living I was going to do. And I wasn't going to not do what I wanted to do because I wasn't going to make it past 25 anyway. Sad. These were the voices. You're not going to make it past 25. You better live. So that monster came out in different forms. Tyler was the first person to call me Skip. And but I had other friends that would call me, like I told you earlier, Wild Man Steve, because I wasn't afraid of nothing. They would call my friend Eric called me Bucker because I used to wear boots and overalls, but I used to look like a little farmer. But that little farmer wanted to fight, and was afraid of nothing, guns, any type of fight. Was never afraid ever, because I didn't think I was gonna make it anyway past a certain level of time. And that monster that began to grow, he festered and became so evil, and he just totally started to dominate my life. I mean, it was a very, very harsh experience. Drugs, not only becoming a person who actually dealt drugs, but getting addicted to them as well.
Correct. What was your drug of choice?
Cocaine. And the weed was, something that we did experiment to feel good. But when you were going to be slick partner now, you hit that cocaine. you was and then eventually it went to crack, because you always go from whatever level you are to a greater level of dysfunction if you don't interrupt the dysfunction. You understand?
Right.
And it separated me. I started to isolate myself, alienated myself from all the things I was doing at the churches, with my family down in Locust Grove and McDonough and Hampton, with my family here in the city. I started going off doing my own thing. My mom put me out when I was 15, but she allowed me to come back. But at 19, I took a suitcase, and people will tell you, I started traveling the country. I left the city of Atlanta. I went to Philly to stay. I went to go to Ohio. I went to Chicago. I went to New Jersey. I went to Delaware. I went to Baltimore. I went to DC. I went to these places by myself because I wanted to see how other cats that live. And although I represented the A to the fullest, nothing ever happened to me there on the road, but all of my trauma happened here.
Yeah.
I've been shot 4 times, 3 separate occasions.
Wait
incarcerated.
You said you've been shot. You said you've been shot 4 times.
A total of 4 times.
Different occasions.
Twice I was robbed, and one night I was with a friend that we were getting ready to go do a robbery. And we were waiting outside of this store over on 2nd Avenue and Boulevard, in front of this called the Buddy's liquor store. And cat pulled up, got out of Cadillac, cocked the the hammer, and just started shooting it. And he was shooting at a friend of mine, but because of my bravado, I'm like, is he shooting at me? I don't even know you. This is what I'm doing while bullets are flying past my head. Until the first one hit my leg, ripped it open, ripped open my arm. I was hospitalized for about a week or 2. Here's an interesting story about that. The entire time I spent in the hospital, every morning at 6 a.m., I woke up to somebody combing my hair. Yeah, I had hair then. I woke up to a cat combing my hair, and it was Tyler Craig.
Wow.
He used to catch the bus and come to the hospital every morning before he went to his job as a cosmetologist. And I used to wake up and say the same thing every morning. I say, T, because I called him Bink. I said, what's happening, Bink? He said, you still gotta look good, baby.
So for those of you that are watching, comment in the chat if you can relate to or know, someone who has been in some of Steve's situations where they've had these voices that's been talking to them since they were a kid. These voices got them doing bad behavior, got him out there in them streets, got him traveling the world too. I didn't even ask him if he had a destination to go to while he was out there traveling, but got him out there traveling the world, got him out here committing, felonies, got him out here on drugs. Comment in the chat if you can relate, or if you know someone who can relate as to what Steve is talking about. I haven't had any comments yet, so I'm like, are my listeners, are y'all watching? We gotta work together. I like to work as a family when we're doing this thing. So let me ask you this, Steve. You're saying that you're out here, you've been shot. You were out here doing robberies. You're out here doing drugs. Did any of that land you into like some bad situation? Well, getting shot is obviously a bad situation, but did any of it land into any type of incarceration or anything like that?
Well, I say this, that the scripture talks about what you live by, you die by. You live by the sword, you die by it. So as a person who practiced using weapons and fighting a lot, it was the natural order of reciprocation that was it was automatic. I used to kind of think of it as my exit plan. Like, this is how I'm gonna go out.
At 20, would you say 25?
21, 20, from 19 to 24. And it was actually the year I almost was mortally and almost killed. I was 25 years old. So I laid on the ground and was like, this is it, you know. But God had another plan. And I say that because I want to still stress the fact that not only does the mental health issue affect you physically and mentally, but it affects your relationships. You hurt the people you're closest to. My mom was so sad at what her brilliant son had become. Steve She say, Stephen, with so much love, she say, this ain't how I raised you. This ain't what I told you. I taught you. My mom never smoked, didn't drink. She partied, but she didn't smoke, drink. I never saw her take a drink. I never saw her smoke. But she was tight now. She didn't play. But she never showed me anything that was who I became. And she said it saddened her. Like, son, this is what you choosing? This?
Do you think she understood mental health at the,
I don't think anybody.
Our older people don't. We're just really starting to talk about this now, right? We're just really starting to talk about mental health in the 2000s. Do you think that, maybe she thought my son has some mental health challenges, or was it just, this thing just
That's
bad?
a great question. I think that we over spiritualized everything as a community years ago. In other words, we would see things as demonic attack, which it is, but there is help that has been in place for years, but we have a stigmatism in the Black community to where we don't like to admit that we have these issues. Like, it's hard for me to go, I could talk to Tyler about it, but very other few of my friends, with the exception of maybe Maurice, my good friend. What's up, Maurice? If you're watching, they knew about that voice. But Tyler was more or less like, you can beat it. And when you got around other people that you loved, you always wanted to put up a facade. I said I became the master at camouflage because you would never really know what I was thinking because I'd always put this on.
Walk around with a smile, but you hurt on the inside.
And I might be about to shoot you with a smile on my face.
Yeah.
So it didn't, that was that evil genius, but at the same time, because we didn't allow for mental health to really be discussed. The discussion wasn't on the table. It would always be, but just don't, such a little touch, but don't tell nobody. Remember all that don't tell stuff? All that don't talk about this at the house, and the stuff that happened with the molestation and the incest and the different. Nobody incestualized me. It was older cousins and people that did,
right.
But that part was, don't talk about it. Keep that. So you learn that you carry a lot of shame and guilt and a great deal of fear of being exposed, a great deal of, that's why I used to develop my other talents, the singing, the music, because I didn't want you to see that. I want you to see, I want you to hear me sing. I want you to see me dance. Tyler started a dance group. It was me, him, Maurice, and a guy named Kier Ford at Russell High School. And we traveled doing shows, dancing, break dancing from Atlanta. Met with the New York City Breakers. We did the things that kids, we should have been able to take it to the next level. But I was like, I don't trust that guy. Managers want to take us. I don't trust him.
Right.
Didn't trust anybody. I was always looking for someone to abandon me. So I abandoned. I was always looking for rejection from people, so I would reject others.
Right.
It was I'm gonna get you first. And it transferred its way over into my way of life. And even to the degree What were you saying, Jackie?
I'm sorry, you had froze for a second there. You said it transformed into a way.
It transformed
of life.
Yes, ma'am. It transformed itself into my way of life and existence because it's what I hid behind. I was able to hide behind.
What was the straw that broke the camel's back? What was the straw that broke the camel's back? What was the incident that occurred that made it just crumble on down, and you realize, okay, what I'm doing is not. What was the incident that happened for you that made it just I can't live like this anymore.
I'll have to say, along with scripture, the just man falls 7 times will get back up again. But it was, so I can't say it was one, but I remember one in particular. It was after I had been on a binge for a few days and, drugging, hustling in the street. I was over on Stewart Avenue at Gary's Motel. And I had this friend of mine, and me and him, he was a pretty boy. So we went and picked up girls all night at different clubs. You know, the Phoenix was popping back then, and you had Metroplex. You had all these different places you can go dance and meet women and take them back to your hotel room. And we had did it about 2 or 3 times. And that morning they were asleep, and I was still up getting high. Had been drinking all night, and I wasn't drunk. I had been sexing all night and was still horny. I'm sorry if I'm using too many the wrong terminology.
You fine.
But that morning I was like, something is wrong with you. And I went and stood in the mirror of that bathroom and put some water on my face. And when I raised up, I could see the monster. My face literally transformed into and I'm not saying this to be funny, but I literally, right in my eyes, for a blink of a moment, I transformed into that monster, and I saw the skeleton. I saw the pain. I saw the anger, the sadness, the disfigurement of my face. And I jumped out of it. I said, hey, I get out. I put everybody out the room. And when I said get out, everybody around me better get out.
Right.
So my boy jumped up, told them girls, y'all better get dressed. Let's go, because he said get out. Now I rode with him. So I'm telling him to leave me. And I went and I said, Lord, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm losing it. And this other voice said, call your mom. Now let me tell you something about my mom, briefly. If you call Shirley at 6 in the morning and you sound like you drunk, high, or in jail, she gonna hang up. But this particular morning, she told me later that my mama got up and prayed every morning from 4 a.m. until someday on Monday. She stayed in the prayer closet all day, but she was up every morning at 4 o'clock praying. Listen to me. She said that morning the Lord told her, when your son call you, he gonna need you to come and get him. Go get him. Go get him. And I called her. I said, Mama, can you come and get me? And she says, where you at, Steve? And she came and got me. And that morning I went home and I got to know Jesus in a personal way, because I said, either you're going to let me die or you're going to save me. But I ain't getting up off of this floor. I ain't getting up out of this way until you show me you real, God. Either you're going to prove to me today or I'm going to kill myself. And he saved me. And he spoke, he said, I will. I do. I say, I want you. Take your rest. Now, the problem herein the problem lies. We do get born again with our spirit, but we have a spirit, soul, and a body, right?
Correct.
With that being the case, the soul still needs to be developed, even though my spirit has been renewed. So I'm still dealing with my same desires that I had before the Lord told me he wanted. Now, he did take away some of the things that I had, some of the things I was struggling with, took some of them right away. But we have been so misled, unlearned, and ignorant about the idea of getting help with mental illness.
Right.
And you say it's spiritual, but it's more mental. It's only mental. And that's why they have doctors in place.
Right. So did you ever seek treatment? Did you ever go and seek, go see the doctor?
Actually, at that point, no. I dived headfirst into the church. It worked for a while.
Correct.
Worked for about 2 years. And one night, I actually got on the ministry team at this church. I was going, and some of the things I started seeing behind the scenes with some of the ministers, I was like, y'all cats worse than some of the egos in the streets. And then I started to judge them. So it caused me to start looking back. Like, let me go find out. Let me go see if the street life still got it. I still got it.
Mm-hmm.
And the scripture says that when you go back from your house being clean, you take on 7 more spirits that are deadlier than the one you had before. So the last state of that man is worse than the first. So the monster that was came back with a vengeance. And now I'm battling with having the Holy Spirit. So now I got this mental illness, the Holy Spirit, my physical desires, and yet I'm still not getting the proper information to say, go seek treatment. Didn't seek treatment until 2017.
That's a long time to battle mental illness. If any of you all can relate, put something in the chat, put some 100% in the chat to let Steve know that you can relate. That is a long time. And in our community, it is a stigma. And that it's no one should have to suffer that long. No one should have to suffer that long. That's why I'm doing this. I feel like healing is in the conversation. I'm so glad that you're sharing this with me. So then what happened?
Well, upon going to get the help, I actually went and re-enrolled in college. I started out with radiologic technology, and then because of my record, my counselor said, look, you got great grades, you're brilliant, but you probably won't be able to be x-ray tech, but you can go into bioscience. So I started that. I went and was going to I started going to the mental health facility. There's one down on Park Place, downtown Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Started going down there, going to the sessions, sitting in the classes. Now, mind you, it's only a couple of people that know I'm doing this. Okay? A lot of people don't even know I was doing it because I kept it. I still hid it.
Were you ashamed? Is that why you were still hiding it?
There was still that level of shame, because to tell people that you're dealing with a mental illness and you in college or you around people and they see you kind of still got your swag, they think you want some type of attention. They think you're vying for some pity. But the monster, I keep calling him the monster because it's a real thing, continues to grow if you don't deal with him. And one of my counselors said to me so eloquently, Brother Steve, if you don't deal with your issues gonna deal with you.
Yes.
And he was 100% accurate.
Yes, he told you.
But I went for a while, Jack, and I started feeling better. The medication got me, looking in the mirror like, okay, I'm feeling better. Push the medication to the side first. All right, I can go to these sessions, and now I'm sitting there getting superior. Pride.
Yeah.
Because see, whatever you hide, it's pride that's keeping you from exposing it. So you don't allow yourself to experience the fullness of the healing, the benefit of what you're getting.
Correct.
So I started pushing to the side. Eventually, I stopped going to the classes at the mental health facility.
Why? Because you felt like you got this under control now.
Oh, I got this. Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah.
I went back around family members and friends, and then I started talking a little bit about it, but not a lot. Like, I'm straight now, though. It's a continual process, and it started boiling over in me. I had a young lady that I was so in love with that I started to hurt really badly by my choices, by me not being honest with her about what I was going through. And I love her to this day. I miss her. And I up until that point, I was holding it in, and then I started reaching out to family members like, look, there's something wrong. I'm not well. I'm not okay. Oh, man, you're going to be all right, Skip. You're going to be okay, Steve. It's all good, bro. Just do this. Just do that. Come drink this. Come hang out over here. Snort that. Smoke this. Get that girl. You know you can get that. And it all came to a catalyst in August of 2020 when Tyler died. Mm-hmm. Now, as my best friend in the world, that I still miss, and he's my best friend even in eternity, other than Jesus, I was able to, it allowed me that moment where I felt like I don't have a reason to be around here anymore. My best friend gone abruptly. And the only person I could talk to about losing Tyler was Tyler. That makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I couldn't talk to him. So I found myself on a highway, driving at a high rate of speed, trying to end it. And I crossed lanes of the highway. I crossed lanes of the highway, trying to run into some trucks. But God swerved me out of the way. And then I found myself in a mental health facility. The first person to put his arms around me, a police officer, white guy, young. And he hugged me and said, we're going to get you some help. We're going to get you some help. Because he said, all I kept saying was, I don't want to live. It's over. I'm tired of this. He kept, and they took me, they let me rest. And for about 3 weeks, I was there up in North Georgia, right above Rome.
Yeah.
I had went all the way to Rome from College Park. So that's how far I had driven.
That's a long way. Not a long way, but a long way. Yeah.
But the experience, I don't remember doing it. But when I got back up, my truck was a little battered and bruised, but they parked it and kept it for me. When I went and jumped in it, it fired right up. And I said, wow, Lord. So then I came back to the city, but I didn't want to come to the city.
Right.
I wanted to go get help. I need to continue my treatment because that was what they said. Do not go and start back doing what you did. Go do something different. And I left and I went to this place. It's called House of Hope.
Yeah.
At the Salvation Army down in Griffin, Georgia. So I went from Rome to Griffin. And I got hooked up with this lady that she was mean to me at first. But she started to watch me. And then she said, you know what, you something special. And she said, I started talking to people. I got back involved with my mental health classes. I started going and get the help I need. Unbeknownst to me, it's an all points bulletin looking for me. I've got family putting out a reward for finding me. I've got people saying finding out that the whole world is looking for me. They've got it on Facebook. Family members are thinking I'm somewhere dead or either somewhere in a drunk stupor or somewhere with on some binge.
Right.
No. But I said to myself that in order for me to go back around them, I've got to start doing the things that's going to help me heal and walk upright and do the things I need to do mentally so that I can be a better man. And also, I have been in treatment since then, and I have not stopped from 2020 November through today. I'm taking medication. I have a counselor. I have a therapist. My therapist, one of them just quit. She got overwhelmed with all the stuff that was going on. Now, that's something. Therapists are quitting.
Yeah. So it's a lot.
It's
a lot.
Because they're getting overwhelmed. But the Lord has got me with in a place now where I spend most of my time either alone or involving myself in activities that are positive. Or I try to go work and earn a little bit of cash because I can't really work now. The other thing was, I didn't even mention this, that for 3.5 years, I walked around with a dislocated hip.
Yeah.
From surgery that I needed, that they kept telling me I didn't need. Imagine that. Yeah. You got a mental health illness and you got a physical illness thing that's causing you pain every day, and it's enough to blow any gasket.
Right.
So by his, I'm still here, Jackie. I'm still here. And anybody that needs help, you can get it. It's out there. But you can't be scared. And you got to be as aggressive in going to get the help as you were going to get the things that you do to try to cover it.
Sounds like Tyler was always going to be your guardian angel. So even when he was alive and you were in the hospital after being shot, he was there. Through everything, he's been there.
Everything.
And even in his passing, he's still your angel because you wanted to commit suicide that day. And he's always been by your side.
I want to say something.
He probably cracked jokes and all kind of stuff. That Tyler was funny, man.
Jackie, Do you know what he did? When he came to me in a dream when I was trying to lose it. He snapped on me. He said, "Man, this is what you gonna do now? You better stop it, Steve, and you better go get the help you need, and you better stop making excuses. And I'm tired of you, boy. You better stop what? Now let's play chess."
Yep.
That was him in a dream.
Wow. How has your relationships changed with people since 2020? Now that you are, you're in therapy now, you're getting your medication now, you're in the ministry now. How has your relationship with people changed since all of this has transpired since 2020?
To be completely, totally honest again, I have to say that I had to walk away from several people. And I did that at the expense of possibly knowing I was going to lose them. I was going to hurt them. Mm-hmm. But I did it to save me. And some of my relationships, even with family, as much as I love them, some of them were toxic. And I don't blame anyone for my illness. I don't blame anyone for my choices. But I realized that some of those influences that I still had was me trying to still be that protector, that guy that put up that front around those that I love the most, and trying to hide the truth about what I was really dealing with. So I've gradually, over time, started to reach out little by little. And everybody say the same thing. "Oh, when I see you, I'm gonna knock you out." I say, well, if you wanna do that, you can try. But I want you to give me a chance to tell you what I went through first.
Yeah.
And if you still feel that way, all right. But I swing back.
Yeah.
That's still that flip. I'm sorry. The Lord help me. I'm still
like I tell people all the time, the Lord's still working on me. The Lord is still in progress. I'm still in progress.
He didn't take the warrior. He didn't take the warrior out of me. He left that warrior in there so that we could go and usher in the kingdom of God without fear. Mm-hmm. So now I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation, to the Jew first and also to the cats like me, the Greek.
So we got about 3 minutes left. And so I wanted to ask you, was there anything that I didn't ask you that you wish I would have asked you?
The one thing I think about, and you were so great as an interviewer, Jackie. Kudos to you, my sister.
Thank you so much.
Steve got himself a queen, my man Steve.
Oh.
Listen, I say this to you in all honesty as well, in closing, that I wouldn't have traded this journey for anything. Because, like CeeLo said, I ain't gonna cry about it. And I sure ain't gonna die about it.
That's right.
Struggling is a part of our daily life. And we've got to learn to deal with it. And all struggles aren't bad. They're good. If I could say one thing that I didn't get a chance to mention is that to the people that I did hurt, I'm sorry. I wasn't being myself. And if you could forgive me, I would really appreciate it. But if you don't, I appreciate it, Steve.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What is the biggest takeaway? I have these two questions that I always want to ask, and I say you have to choose one. You can't choose them both.
Okay.
Okay. What is the biggest takeaway you hope our listeners learned this evening about mental health?
You're not alone.
Oh, that's a good one.
You're not alone. There are others that are suffering just like you. I'm one of them. If I stop my treatment, the muscle will come back. I've got to stay the course. I cannot afford to sacrifice or give up what I've invested in my life now. And if you want the help, it's available. Contact my sister. If you want to reach out to me, she can give you my number.
Yes, I can.
We can get together and talk about it because you're not alone.
Yes. Yes. And so I never like to leave like on a low note. I try to bring it back up a little bit because healing is in the conversation, and this conversation is extremely heavy. And so I know it was heavy for you, and I thank you so much. But we're gonna lighten it up just a tad bit. If
All
you
right.
ready, you ready? Skip, you
I'm
ready?
ready.
Okay,
I got
okay.
something for you too there. You really want to see it.
Well, let me ask you this: what's your favorite food?
Fried chicken, shawty.
What? You know, it took me
Fried
a
chicken.
long time. It took me a long time. Shout out to the Atlanta City Detention Center to teach me how to speak Atlanta. Because when I came here from Cali, I was pronouncing all of my R's and everything. And now my people in Cali say, "Girl, you so country. You sound like you from Atlanta." So I have perfected the shouting with an AWTY.
That's
Shout
it.
out to Atlanta City Detention Center for teaching me how to speak Atlanta. So I got one more for you. I bet you won't get crunk. I bet you won't get crunk.
Girl.
Well,
Hey,
anytime you
that
say
was
that
listen,
to
but
somebody
that
from
was
the
what I
States,
want. That was the one I wanted to leave you with too. One of the things in a line in one of the songs. It's my favorite song. It's by Outkast. And
I'm
my boy
ready.
CeeLo. Shout out to CeeLo. He say, struggling just a part of my day. Many obstacles have been placed in my way. I know the only reason that I make it through is because I never stop believing in you. Some people wonder why we here in the first place, but they can't understand because they ain't seen your face. But even when you pray the next day, you gotta try. Can't wait for somebody to come down out the sky. You got to realize that the world's a test. You can only do your best and let him do the rest. You got your life, you got your health, so quit procrastinating and push it yourself.
Yes. Can y'all give him some hand claps? I forgot to tell y'all he can sing. He already told y'all he could play the drums. He started off with the cymbals. Man, he was a live wire back in 1996 when I moved out here from Cali. He is a live wire now on another level. You feel me? On another level.
Praise God. Praise the Most High.
I appreciate you so much for stepping in on that last minute for me. You just don't know. When I got that phone call, I was like, oh God, what am I gonna do? But you know, I've learned to say, God, you got this. Who's next? Who you dropping on me to call? Who you dropping on me to call? And so I appreciate you so much for stepping in today. And I appreciate you for being so transparent and sharing your story. I'm probably gonna have you on again because I'm just gonna have you on again. So I thank you from the bottom of my soul. Thank you so much for sharing. You all know that the purpose of this podcast is to show you that mental health comes in so many different forms. There is not one way it looks. There's no package. There is no prototype for it. There's nothing. Mental health comes in so many different kind of ways. So I just wanted you to see, you know, I got Steve on here today. He suffers from mental health. He ain't ashamed. He's trying to get people healed. And that is our goal. Mission for mental health. That is our goal. I do believe.
Mission for mental health.
That's right. That is the name of this company, Mission for Mental Health. I do believe that there is healing in the conversation. I hope that you all like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your friends. I'm getting a little bit better. Y'all see, I got y'all a little green screen now. I'm trying to come up a little bit. I'm doing a little bit better.
You working that thing, Shawty?
I'm working it. So make sure you like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Please, 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 please sign our petition, India's Law petition. The link is in the description box. Thank you guys for watching. I look so forward to seeing you all next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Next Wednesday, I have a special guest for you, Katrina Fields, as we call her Trina, and 6ix9ine. So those of you that know who 6ix9ine is, you know who 6ix9ine is. So they will be my special guest next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. I hope you all tune in. Thank you so much for watching. You all enjoy the rest of your week. Be safe. and talk to you later.